Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Just giving you guys a look of how my power is directed over to my sound equipment. These are all the normal shitty connectors that I have. What do you call it? Power circuits to deliver the power to my groups out there. And this here is like the gigawatt one I have over to my sound equipment, and this is the one next to it, the AHP, what do you call it, power circuit, power breaker, that's what it's called, power breaker. And just want to tell you guys something very interesting that you might not believe. This thing here with the gold fuse, if I open this thing up, I can change it to a gold or a silver fuse, and it creates a very different sound, even though I'm on this group, the gigawatt group. How's that possible? Well, it's because when he made this whole thing, somehow the main signal from all of this goes through this thing here before it reaches this group. Isn't that weird? So the different type of sound that this like gold tinny slightly warmer low level sound actually gets infected over to this group, which is a lot more hi-fi analytical, clean and sound. So I get this sound affecting this sound, which is very, very strange. So if you guys ever have the chance to do this, have 3 different types of what do you call it? Groups, power groups, where you can connect your system to, and just have a regular $2 power group to a plug with regular cable over next to your equipment, and then have like a gigawatt one, which of course costs a lot more, which is like $100, and then have this one AHP, which costs like $150. Those are three different types of sounds, and you will be able to hear that even on slightly less good equipment. That's a very good tip for you guys to find out what flavor do you guys prefer. The normal stuff here with the normal cable in the wall is going to give you a very flat sound. It's going to be boring, it's going to be gray, it's slightly moldy, not really interesting, a bit on the harsh side. And the gigawatt one is going to be, what do I call it? Just a hell of a lot more informative and neutral, and just really a lot better layered. And then the AHP one is like a lower level warmth. It's like if you would put a lower class CARDES cable on your system, which is kind of cool. It kind of blows up the bass, makes it more heavy than it really supposed to be. But it's an interesting consideration how to shape your sound. And what I've done here is, on the gigawatt one, I have gigawatt cable on the group to create that same sound. Now I tried putting then a gigawatt plug on the wall. I didn't like it. It was too analytical for me, too bright, too harsh, too mechanical. It was really, really, really mechanical. So that could be interesting for you guys that have a Torhauger tube sound or an old Macintosh tube sound that is very safe. You might actually like that type of sound, but I didn't. So gigawatt power group, gigawatt cable, and then I had an O8 SWO XXXE plug. Perfect combination. Perfect combination. And then on the plug next to it, I have this here going with the gigawatt, oh, not gigawatt, CARDES in-wall cable, slightly thicker cable. And then over to the same O8 SWO plug. Creates a huge difference, huge difference. And they're all on their own power group, see? All on their own power group. that also makes a big difference. Even if you don't go for a fancy solution than I did, at least make sure that it's on its own power group, because that in itself makes it a lot less affected by um, dishwasher, car recharging, or other people doing stuff in the house. There can be a lot of contamination going on your power system without you knowing it. And on top of that, there's the power that gets changed locally, and your power plant depending on the people that are home at different times of the day. So I usually notice that if I listen to music when people are going to bed around 10:30, then they start to go to bed. From that point on until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, there's like a big gap there where not a lot of people are awake and using the power. And I feel that, especially on a Saturday, sometimes even a Friday, or especially on a Sunday, it just sounds very different, my music. And this I especially noticed once I got up in equipment and got the really good equipment. Then I noticed all of these small things happening a lot more with my old Macintosh gear and the Vincent gear and Audio Labs and stuff like that that I had. I didn't notice these things. These things didn't really happen. But once I got into like the cheap audio note gear, and I messed around with Negra gear and Spectral gear, and later on when I set up my Macintosh gear up so it was just right, perfect in all regard, then I noticed some small differences, especially when I went over to an isolated group instead of just using a random plug in the house that was plugged to all kinds of other rooms doing other stuff. Then I actually did notice a noticeable difference there, but it wasn't huge like it is now. So I hope you guys can use this piece of information. These are like the tools that you need to manipulate the sound so that you like the music that you listen to. Just want to mention again, these two things here are plugged to an O8 SWOXXXE, I think it's called, wall plug. And you might think that I'm crazy, but that wall plug is the only wall plug that I've been able to find in the world that makes the music sound beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, settles, and gives it like that glow and unusual magical sound. If I were to create the same situation, but with a FoodTech cable in the wall and FoodTech plugs, and then I would then use FoodTech plugs on my equipment, I would get a completely different level of warmth, giving me the impression that the soundstage is deeper, and the sound is more settled, and it's more forgiving, and it's just more comfortable to listen to. That it would be cool on many levels, but I also feel that if I did that, I would lose the instrument originality and the fantastic voices and the spacing in the sound. So you have that, that dramatic, almost violently good movement. So that's why I'm not using FoodTech. FoodTech could probably help you with your equipment if you've got like a lower level transistor gear. There you might want to do it to manipulate the sound, but it will give it a lower level original sound and warm sound. So yeah, something to think about, especially if you have some Class D equipment or digital equipment that isn't very good, and you've got hard acoustics in your room. You might wanna use a lower level warmth solution to compensate for that, so you don't have to buy expensive equipment. But yeah, that's all for today, and I hope you guys could use this. Bye.